The overall manipulation of elections comes down to polling, either or that or gerrymandering people so that they can't run, like Chicago style, where you litigate your way to an election, similar to what George W. Bush did. But like a lot of political manipulation is done polling. And there's a long history of this. The origins of this tactic trace back to early electoral processes in the early 20th century, when polling became a tool for influencing public opinion rather than neutral measurement. Polling's use in shaping rather than merely reflecting public sentiment began with the rise of modern media. By the 1960s, Gallup polls, originally designed to gauge public opinion, started to be seen as a way to direct political campaigns and even voter behavior. You fast forward to the late 20th century, polling has played a key role in elections, particularly in neoliberal capitalist democracies. Chomsky has even pointed out, like, polling in such societies often serves as a way to manage public opinion, where voters are more likely to cast their ballots against someone they oppose rather than in favor of someone they support. And this trend becomes more evident in the late 20th century as media outlets like CNN and Fox News turned polling data into headline content, as we've seen even more. We move into the 21st century, the manipulation of polls has evolved exponentially. In Canada's 2019 federal elections, media polling was weaponized to drive voter turnout among Liberals. This manipulation exemplified by the fact that, as several political commentators have noted, Trudeau lost the popular vote in the 2019 election, but secured the most seats. He lost the popular vote in 2021 election, but secured the most seats. And this is in part to a media strategy that emphasizes the conservative threat, prompting Liberal voters to mobilize late in the campaign. And you see this in the US too. It's works in the opposite way we saw in the 2016 election, right? Because of the way that the polling broke down and it didn't necessarily reflect the result, because of things like Cambridge Analytica, where the focus has shifted from simply using polling to a more insidious manipulation of voter data. The guy, Christopher Wiley, which, to note, a former Liberal Party staffer, he championed these methods used by Cambridge Analytica and claimed them to be about micro-targeting voters, which would help further blur the line between polling as a democratic tool and polling as a means of controlling and manipulating public opinion. And again, Wiley himself worked with Michael Ignatieff's Liberal team and even interfaced with the Liberal Caucus research in 2015. And so, yeah, the manipulation of polling is not only confined to voter targeting, but also to public messaging. We've seen it in France with Emmanuel Macron. He's employed polling to make themselves appear more centrist by externalizing the extremist opposition, right? It's more of that Pied Piper strategy. And this tactic is also, again, utilized by Trudeau and Biden in using polling to make political rivals appear more viable, and then thereby rallying voters not in support of the incumbent, but in opposition to the perceived threat. In recent years, public polling in Canada and the US has become more and more of like a media spectacle than a true measure of voter intention. Polling experts themselves have remarked that polls are increasingly being used as content for profit-driven media rather than as an accurate reflection of the electorate. And this is compounded by the fact that fake polling numbers are often released just ahead of elections to create either an apathy because you think that the candidate that you like influence to vote for isn't going to win, or you're urged to vote because you're being manipulated because of these false numbers that are prompting you to then vote in support to oppose the people that you don't want to win, who you've been told are likely going to win. So this creates this choice paralysis or even political apathy of voters who are polling has evolved from a democratic tool into this mechanism for influencing voter behavior. And it's a consistent theme. as political theorists have put it, in these neoliberal capitalist-based societies, in capitalist-based democracies, polling is serving the interests of those in power rather than those casting the votes, right? And as the role of media in manipulating polling data becomes more and more entrenched, political systems move further from the democratic ideal, something that both early critics like Walter Lippmann and modern commentators have repeatedly warned against. The idea of like by presenting polling as a form of public feedback, media organizations reinforce this soft technocratic dictatorship. And it's not necessarily about reflecting what the public thinks, it's about telling the public what to think. And yeah.